وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. جاءتني دعوتي الأشجار ساعة تمشي إليه على ساق بلا قدم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. سريت من حرم ليلا إلى حرم كما سرى البدر في ليل من الظلم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. وبت ترقى إلى أمرك منزلا من قاب قوسين لم تدرك ولم ترم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. بشرى لنا خير الخلق كلهم. لما دعا الله داعيا بطاعته أكرم الرسل كنا أكرم الأمم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. اغفر لناشدها واغفر لقارئها. اغفر لناشدها واغفر لقارئها. سألتك الخير يا ذا الجود والكرم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما على نبيك خير الخلق كلهم. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam being the most beautiful in some actions in known. Is that happy Allah because the session you are hopeful before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whoever accepted and responded to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he held on to a rope which will never ever break. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam surpassed all Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam in character in the way Allah created him. No one was able to come close to him in knowledge. The reality is Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a human being, but he is the best of all Allah's creation. When the poet speaks about how the trees responded to Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the trees came walking to Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he speaks about how Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam undertook the journey of Mi'raj, when he traveled from one haram to another haram, the way the beautiful moon travels in the sky, and how the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he reached a rank that was not reached by any other creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to go one step forward, then Allah would burn him and turn me into ash. How fortunate we are Such glad tidings have been given to us, and Allah has given us such a great Nabi. Through the barakat of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, our position has been exalted. When he was given the title of Akram al-Rusul, the noblest of Allah's creation, then we became known as Akram al-Umam, the noblest of all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all those nations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent into this world. And in the end of the day, we need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all forgiveness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instill within our hearts the true love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the true faith to follow in the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So alhamdulillah wahdahu wa salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da. All praises belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat and salam be upon our noble master Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All praises belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having blessed us with the greatest wealth of Iman and for placing us in the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Brothers, I want to ask you a question. Each one looks in his heart and each one answer for yourself. When was the last time you ever raised your hands and you thanked Allah for making you part and parcel of the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? And for some of us, we have to ask ourselves, did we ever raise our hands before Allah and thank Allah for being part and parcel of the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Firstly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us ashratul makhluqat, the most honorable of Allah's creation. If Allah wanted to, He could have created us from among the dogs, from among the cats, from among the animals. But Allah made us human beings. Allah gave us the faculty of understanding. And then if Allah wanted to, Allah could have made us from any other ummah. The ummah of Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. But Allah selected each one of us to be from the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The skin is a great virtue. In Quran, Allah speaks of the previous nations. In the ahadith, Nabi Sallallahu He speaks about the previous nations. He cautions us that don't follow in the footsteps of the previous nations. So the faults of the previous nations have been highlighted to us so that we don't follow in their footsteps. How fortunate we are, there is no other nation to come after us who will hear about our faults. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has concealed the faults of the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We are the last Ummah to come into this world. But through the barakah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we'll be the first to enter Jannah. The last to come into this world, the first to enter Jannah. On the day of Qiyamah, when people will be in difficulty and people will be drowning in their own perspiration as per their deeds, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned there will be those who their perspiration will be up until their ankles, some until their waist, some until their chin. And there will be those who will be drowning in their own perspiration. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. People will be in extreme difficulty. And they will go to Nabi after Nabi and asking every Nabi to intercede in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then every Nabi will say, Nafsi, Nafsi, myself, myself. But when they will go to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, Akhidru sajidan, I will fall into sajda, fa'ahmadullah, I will praise Allah in a manner that Allah was never ever praised. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Ya Muhammad, irfa' ra'sak, O Muhammad, raise your head. Sal, tu'ta, ask, and you will be granted. Washfa' tushaffa', intercede, and your intercession will be accepted. That time, what will Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? And that time it will be ummati, ummati, my ummah, O Allah, my ummah, O Allah. My ummah, O Allah, my ummah, O Allah. What worry and what concern Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had for his ummah. Because we know what is happening in Jalsah at the moment. We know the condition of the believers. Imagine if the Nabi of Allah was amongst us today and he had to witness what his ummah was going through. What would have been the condition of Nabi Sallallahu? Do you think Nabi Sallallahu would have slept? Do you think Nabi Sallallahu would have enjoyed his happiness? On one occasion, there were certain people who came to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from the tribe of Buddha. And the hadith mentions, Mutaqal means to you. These people were people of warfare. They came with their swords tied to their necks. But the reality is they did not have enough clothing to cover their body. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam looked at them and Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's face changed. When he saw the level of poverty they were experiencing and the difficulty they were undergoing, then Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's face changed. Sahaba could immediately see something is wrong. Then the restlessness of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not allow him to sit. But the Nabi of Allah went backwards, forwards, front, back. He paced up and down, up and down, up and down. Until eventually Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came and he delivered a khutbah. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam recited the verses of the Quran. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. Hello people, fear Allah who has created you from one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. From Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, his wife was created. And from the two of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought about creation. What this verse denotes, that all people understand that you are one ummah. And the entire ummah is one body. When others are going through difficulty, you will feel the pain. You cannot enjoy when they are going through hardship. Further, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد. Be conscious of Allah. And each person should be wary and he should be watchful of what he is sending forward for his akhirah. By giving sadaqah, by helping in this world, we are making an effort towards our akhirah. We are investing in our akhirah. Then Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam encouraged Sahaba to give sadaqah, to give charity. Sahaba began one after the other, they came. 1 coin, 2 coins, 1 day, 2 days. There was one person who came with a bag that he was unable to even carry. And when there were 2 huge piles of clothing and food and wealth for these poor people, then Sahaba says, we saw the face of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gleaming with radiance. Because now the difficulty of the Ummah was now removed. And then Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, Man sanna fil Islami sunnat al-hasana. Whoever initiates a good practice in Islam, then he will get the reward of that good practice, and he will also get the reward of all those who follow in his footsteps. On the other hand, may Allah protect us all. Whoever initiates a bad practice in Islam, an evil practice in Islam, then he will have to bear the brunt and the consequences of that sin, and he will also have to bear the consequences of all those who follow him. Therefore, in life we have to be extremely careful, especially when we were the needs of others coming onto wrong. So for example, many a time you find a person, he said, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the tawfiq to change. And I made a change in my life. And sometimes when people will look at him in a person and say, MashaAllah, this man is so pious. But in his young days, he was the one who taught everybody else how to smoke. He was the one who taught everybody else how to rent. And he was the one who taught everybody else wrong. Now, how do you undo what you've done in your past? So to all my youth that are sitting here in life, don't make the wrong mistake. Be careful of what you do throughout your life. We were in madrasa one day, and we had a friend of ours, somebody gave him a nickname. And this nickname spread throughout the class. And everybody took it for granted that he's okay with the nickname. One day when somebody asked me to tell me, this nickname of yours, right, how did it come up? He said, this nickname is not something that I approve of. Every time somebody calls me by this nickname, I make dua in my heart, oh Allah, send the son of the person who initiated it. At that time we had to be froze because we knew who initiated it. He said, I never approved of it. And I made dua to Allah to send the son of that person who initiated it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. So our Nabi of Allah was an embodiment of mercy. Our Nabi of Allah, the poet says very beautifully, ما قال لا إلا في تشهده لولا التشهد لكانت لاؤه نعم. He never ever said no. The only time he said no was in his tashahhud, when you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. There is no deity except Allah. And the poet then says, if it was not for tashahhud, then that no would also have been yes. That is why you'll find when any person came with any need to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he immediately responded. If he had it, he gave it. If he did not have it, then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would try to make some arrangements for that person's needs to be fulfilled. And if that was not possible, then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, okay, come to us and at an appointed time, and inshallah we'll try to fulfill your needs. So for example, one person came to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "Oh Nabi of Allah, I lost my mode of transport, my conveyance. I don't have anything by which I can travel." Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time did not have anything to give this person. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "I don't have anything at the moment." However, there was another Sahabi who was seated. So, "Oh Nabi of Allah, I myself, I am not in a position of helping this individual, but I can show him someone who can help him and assist him." Nabi Sallallahu became extremely happy. He says, "Man dalla ala al-khayr, falahu mithlu ajri fa'ilihi, aw kama qala alayhi salatu wasalam." Whoever shows and points towards some goodness, then he will also get the reward of the doer. So you, the middleman, you are unable to help this man, but you can make a plan for him. You showing him someone else. That person will fulfill his need. He'll get the reward, but because you were instrumental in this person's needs being fulfilled, you will also get the reward. So this is what Nabi Sallallahu instilled in us. That, oh my ummah, you are not one individual, but you belong to an ummah. He told us, Al-mu'minuna kajasadin wahid. All the mu'mineen are like one body. In ishtaka aynuhu ishtaka kullu. When there's pain in the eye, the entire body is restless. The body doesn't tell eye, you sort yourself out and we'll care of our life. In ishtaka rasuhu ishtaka kullu. When a person has a headache, the rest of the body doesn't say, you sort yourself out and we'll continue with our life. No, the pain in the head brings restlessness in the entire body. Pain in the eye will bring restlessness in the entire body. What Nabi Sallallahu taught us is, when one part of this ummah is suffering and going through difficulty, then we will all be restless. We will all be restless. We will all feel pain in our heart. We'll have discomfort. At night we won't be able to sleep properly. At night we'll toss and turn in our beds. At night we'll also take our time to stand before Allah. And we'll say, "Oh Allah, help our brothers who are suffering in all the different corners of the world." At night we'll make dua to Allah for our brethren and our Muslim brothers and sisters and children in Gaza. We'll take out that time because there'll be some fikr, some worry and some concern in our heart. This was the pain of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's why when Sahaba describe him, they say, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم متواصل الأحزان دائم الفكرة ليست له راحة. Our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was all the time in grief and worry and concern. All the time Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was reflecting, he was worried about the matters pertaining to his ummah, matters that would concern the welfare of the ummah, the betterment of the ummah, matters that pertain to the akhirat of the ummah, how my ummah can be saved from Jahannam, how they can enter into Jannah forever and ever. He said, لَيْسَتْ لَهُ رَاحَةٌ. There was no comfort and no peace that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had. His peace and his comfort was in salah. Qurratu aini, the coolness of his eyes was in salah. That's something amazing here. Normally when a person is restless, and a person is worried, and a person is in concern, you'll hardly find that person smiling. Yet when Sahaba describe Nabi Sallallahu, they say, مَا رَأَيْتُ أَحَدًا أَكْثَرُ تَبَسُّمًا مِنْ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ Sallallahu. Sahabi says, I've never seen anyone smile more than Rasulullah Sallallahu. Now how does it go together? On one side, the man is really in worry and concern, is all the time worried about his ummah. On the other hand, you find him smiling so much. He was the one that was smiling the most.
Ulama Ikram mentioned the Nabi of Allah was so considerate towards his companions. What was in his heart did not allow it to surface and to show on his face. He hid what was in his heart with his beautiful smile. In the heart there was pain. In the heart there was worry. In the heart there was concern. But in the face of Nabi Sallallahu there was a beautiful smile. The smile that was welcoming and the smile that was accommodating. Because Nabi Sallallahu didn't want Sahaba to feel uncomfortable in his presence. I mean, if you're sitting in the company of a person who is ultra strict, or a person who doesn't speak, or a person who's snobbish, you're going to feel uncomfortable sitting in that person's company. And when you sit in the company of a person who's smiling and is welcoming, then you also feel good. So Nabi Kareem Sallallahu adopted that approach when it came to Sahaba. He was so considerate. His personal time he sacrificed for his Sahaba. That is why the hadith mentions جَزَّأَ دُخُولَهُ ثَلَاثَةَ أَجْزَاء. When Nabi Sallallahu went home, then he divided his time into three parts. Number one is juz'an lillah. One portion was for Allah. In this Nabi Sallallahu taught us the rights of Allah will always come first. Allahumma anta al-awwalu falaysa qablaka shay. Allah, you are the first, there's nothing prior to you, there's nothing before you. So Nabi Sallallahu taught us to have our priorities in place. First portion he would devote to Allah. وَجُزْءًا لِأَهْلِهِ. The second portion of his time he would allocate for his family. Now this is extremely important. And today unfortunately we find that as we grow in status and as we grow in wealth, we have less time for our family. Because why are we more worried about our image out there and we tend to neglect our family at home? Because there's not going to be much acknowledgement from your family. They're not going to put you up. Your wife is not going to put you up. She's going to tell you, you need to sort out this, and you need to sort out this, and you're wrong here, and you're right here, and you need to do this. She's not going to put you up. She's not going to inflate your ego. But when you are a successful person outside of your home, when you go, everybody will sort of, mashallah, mashallah, make salam to you, and everybody will want to be with you. So what happens, you'll find people tend to then give time outside because that is where they feel comfortable and they tend to neglect their families at home. To such an extent, may Allah protect us all. Sometimes we have children crying for the time of their parents. Sometimes the mother is so busy on the phone, the child is saying, Mommy, that is when only she will, oh gee, what you wanted. And the child has to come to the father, did he tell me how much you earn in 1 hour? So, what's that got to do with you? So, no, I need to know how much you earn in 1 hour. Father says, $20. Okay, $20. Child goes back to his room, empties the money box, and then he comes with a few coins and he says, Daddy, can you borrow me $10? I guess upset. What's going on with you? You got $10, you got some coins with you, and you're asking for more. What do you want the money for? He says, I got $10, but I'm short of another 10. If you give me the other 10, at least I'll have $20 to purchase an hour of your time. When last did we have a decent conversation with our children? Our Nabi of Allah showed us. Our Nabi of Allah came home. When he came home, Fatima radiallahu anha had such a relationship with him. She would stand up, she would welcome him, she would kiss him on his forehead, and then she would take him by his hand and make him sit on her plate. And when he would go to the home of Fatima radiallahu anha, Nabi Sallallahu would do the same. When she would come in, Nabi Sallallahu would do the same. Nabi Sallallahu would welcome her, kiss her on the forehead, hold her by her hand, and Nabi Kareem Sallallahu would put her, make her sit on his place. He showed us how to treat young and old. He showed us how to be an embodiment of mercy. So juz'an li ahlihi, he never neglected his family. At night, if he wanted to spend the entire night in tahajjud, he took permission from his wife. He said, Oh Aisha, do you give me permission to stand before Allah? And the pure wives of Nabi Sallallahu was such, they never ever became a hindrance. They never ever became a barrier. They would give Nabi Sallallahu permission. He would stand before Allah. He would cry before Allah. We all hear battles, the battles were fought. But did we ever ponder what effort and dua and crying Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the eve of the battle? There were nights where he stood before Allah until his feet would become swollen. There were times where Sahaba say, we heard Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam performing salah, and وَلِجَوْفِهِ أَزِيزٌ كَأَزِيزِ الْمِرْجَلِ مِنَ الْبُكَاءِ. And the sound of a boiling pot, whistling kettle emanated from the chest of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would become emotional, he would cry. There were times when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made dua in the court of Allah, and he got this ummah accepted in the court of Allah. Rabbi alam ta'idni, oh my Allah, did you not promise me that you will not destroy my ummah as long as I am amongst them? Oh my Allah, did you not promise me that you will not destroy my ummah as long as they are seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Oh Allah, we are seeking your forgiveness. نحن نستغفرك. That is why sitting here, how we can help our brethren now in Gaza and in all the other parts of this world, we can make tawbah and we can make istighfar. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a link between conditions and our actions. When good conditions raise to Allah, Allah brings favorable conditions. And when bad actions raise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings challenging conditions. Therefore, if we all as a ummah, we engage in tawbah, istighfar, then most definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's nusra, Allah's help will become manifest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send his assistance. So Nabi Karim Sallallahu will give his time to Allah. He will also allocate time for his family. And further, وَجُزْءًا لِنَفْسِهِ. There was time that Nabi Sallallahu allocated for himself. Every person has needs and necessities. We need to sleep, we need to eat, we have our own needs and necessities. But then from his own time, Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam then took out time for the ummah. So if he had to sacrifice, he didn't sacrifice on Allah's time. He didn't cut corners when it came to the time allocated for Allah, for ibadah. He didn't cut corners when it came to time to his family. But rather, if he had to take out extra time, he took out time from his personal self. Today what happens is, we give enough time to ourselves, and if we have to steal time, we'll steal time from other people's time. So at work, instead of doing our work, we'll be doing something else. We're stealing time from our employer. At home, instead of giving quality time to the family, we're stealing their time and we're using for something else. Our Nabi of Allah said, no. Sacrifice your personal time for others if you really want to. And that personal time, Nabi Sallallahu would give it to the Ummah for the enhancement of the Ummah. He would tell the special Sahaba, those who had the ability to convey his message far and wide, he would allow them to come. They would come, Nabi Sallallahu would sit with them, he would explain to them, Nabi Sallallahu would educate them, he would teach them. But he would caution them at the same time, listen, you coming to me, you spending time with me, remember this should not make you proud and arrogant, but remember this carries a great responsibility. You need to take the message to all those who are unable to come to me. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would even go to the extent of saying, وَأَبْلِغُونِي حَاجَةَ مَنْ لَا يَسْتَطِيعُ إِبْلَاغًا. Oh my Sahaba, those who are able to come to me, please bring the needs of all those who are unable to bring their needs to me. You bring it to me. Why? Whoever مَنْ أَبْلَغَ سُلْطَانًا حَاجَةَ مَنْ لَا يَسْتَطِيعُ إِبْلَاغًا. Whoever makes an effort to fulfill the need of someone else, ثَبَّتَ اللَّهُ قَدَمَيْهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Allah will keep his feet steadfast on the day of Qiyamah. See, when a person is in need, and a person's needs are not fulfilled, then that person is restless. That person does not have stability in his life. By you helping him and assisting him, you are going to bring stability to his life. So when you provide stability for him in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide stability for you in the akhirah. Imagine, helping in this world, Allah will help in the akhirah. Assisting in this world, Allah will assist in the akhirah. Allah will bless so many favors. 73 favors. One will be enough in this world. 72 Allah will keep it so for a person in the akhirah. وَاللَّهُ فِي عَوْنِ الْعَبْدِ مَا كَانَ الْعَبْدُ فِي عَوْنِ أَخِيهِ. Allah will continue to help a person as long as he is helping his Muslim brother. He was always considerate. To the extent that when Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his Sahaba radiallahu anhu faced any difficulty, then his level of sacrifice was double and greater than Sahaba. So, for example, when Sahaba were digging the trench, and Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu went to complain to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, oh Nabi of Allah, we are hungry. We are hungry, oh Nabi of Allah, we don't have any food. And they say, we lifted our upper garment and we showed the Nabi of Allah, رفعنا عن بطوننا عن حجر الحجر. We had stones tied to our belly. Why stones? Because when a person is hungry, then if he has to compress his stomach or push it in, then it gives him some sort of comfort and relief. So they would take stones and tie it to their bellies to keep their stomachs in, and this would alleviate the pangs of hunger. And some ulama say it was a specific stone that they used, which brought some comfort and coolness to the tummy and to the stomach. And this also made it easy for them to continue. So when they went to complain to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his upper garment and he had two stones tied to his belly. So if they were suffering, then he was suffering double. If they were experiencing fever, he said, Inni u'aku kama yu'aku rajulani minkum. I experience double the amount of fever that you experience. If Sahaba were fasting for one day, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasted Sawm and Wisal. What's this? You fast for consecutive days without making iftar. Sahaba said, how? Oh Nabi of Allah, you told us we shouldn't do it. But how are you managing? Or if Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was allowed. For the Ummah it wasn't allowed. His mujahada and his sacrifice was always of a greater level. When Sahaba came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, oh Nabi of Allah, I prepared some food for you and a few companions of yours. Do you think the Nabi of Allah had the heart to go and eat quietly while the Sahaba suffered? No. Nabi Sallallahu announced to all, oh my Sahaba, Jabir and his family, they have prepared food, everyone is invited. Sahabi is shocked. I slaughtered one kid, one baby goat. How is it going to be sufficient for 1,000 men? Nabi Sallallahu tells him that when you go home, then don't take the pot off the stove. And don't start baking the bread. Nabi of Allah, when he placed his Mubarak saliva in the pot, he placed his Mubarak saliva in the dough. He then said, dish out from the pot without turning the pot upside down. And he said, start baking the bread. And Alhamdulillah, the food that was supposed to have been sufficient for 6 individuals was now sufficient for the entire army. And Sahabi say, after everyone ate, I don't know whether the food was actually more than what it was or it was the same. I don't know whether it was even more or whether it was the same. So this was the Nabi of Allah. I can't go eat alone. He had Ashabul Sufa with him. Ashabul Sufa were those companions of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whose only job was to learn from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were the guests of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Nabi of Allah, whenever food came, he would invite them. On one occasion, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu says, I'm hungry, I'm starving. One bowl of milk comes, one goblet of milk comes. Says, my heart is now in that one goblet of milk. And I know Nabi of Allah is going to say, go invite everyone else. And I know Nabi of Allah will tell me, serve everyone else. I'll be the last. So from that one goblet, we haven't get even one serve. But nevertheless, when it comes to the word of Nabi Sallallahu, we don't question, we don't object, we don't say it doesn't make sense, but rather in front of the teachings of Nabi Sallallahu, we just submit and we surrender. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu says he went and he invited everyone, and through to his thinking, Nabi Sallallahu told him, serve everyone. Everyone drank to their full, and then the turn came for him and he drank to his full, and Nabi Sallallahu told him, drink more. And he drank. And Nabi Sallallahu told him, drink more. And he drank. Until eventually he said, oh Nabi of Allah, I don't have space for anymore. I don't have space for it. Ulama say, when we submit and we surrender to the teachings of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, without ifs and buts and without any questioning, then we'll also experience the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way that help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu and Sahaba. So this was Nabi Sallallahu, so considerate towards his Sahaba. If anybody was hungry, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam fed the people. Amazing thing is, we read in the ahadith the love that Sahaba had for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then also when we look in ahadith, we also find the hunger that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam underwent. Now tell me something. If you have love for someone, will you allow that person to go hungry? No, you never. So the question then comes out, how is it possible that Sahaba allowed Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to go hungry? The answer is, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam loved in such a manner, he never exposed his hunger and made Sahaba aware of his hunger. The difficulties that he underwent, he never made it known to them. He knew very well, if my Sahaba knew my condition and my plight, they would not allow me to live in this manner. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam hid his condition from them. And that is why if he had a need, instead of going to his Sahaba, he would rather go to a Jew. Somebody who would deal with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in a way a stranger would deal with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because if he went to his Sahaba, Sahaba would say, Nabi, please take. They told Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Khud ma shit, take what you wish. Da' ma shit, leave whatever you wish. Wama akhadta minna, whatever you take from us is more beloved to us than what you leave behind. This was Sahaba. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never went. He knew, I don't want to impose on them. I don't want to make it difficult for them. Today, if you want to buy something, you say, where I can get the best deal, isn't it? Even if it means that somebody else is lost. If I go there, I'll get the best deal. Even if that person has to take I. No, our Nabi of Allah taught us dignity. He taught us honor. He taught us consideration for all. To take every person into consideration. Be worried and concerned for every person. So when he dealt with the Jews also, remember, there were certain times when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam underwent certain abuse. So for example, there was one particular Jew by the name of Zayd ibn Sa'na. So Zayd ibn Sa'na was a very knowledgeable person from the Jews. He says, I looked in the previous scriptures and I looked at the description of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And when I came into contact with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, every sign of nubuwwat and prophethood I found in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam except two. What are the two? He said, يَسْبِقُ حِلْمُهُ جَهْلَهُ. The forbearance of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam always overpowered his ignorance, meaning his anger. He did not allow his anger to get the better of him. Number two is, وَلَا تَزِيدُهُ شِدَّةُ الْجَهْلِ عَلَيْهِ إِلَّا حِلْمًا. The more ignorant a person behaves towards him, the more forbearant he was towards an individual. Now this is need of the time. I mean, how many of our women folk complain, this guy is losing his cool every now and then. And he's just getting from bad to worse. And he's snapping on small things. And he's making a mountain out of an anthill. These complaints are coming all the time. Nabi Sallallahu was an embodiment of composure and calmness. So this Jew, Zayd, he said, I need to test these two qualities of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he waited for the opportunity. One day there was one Sahabi who came to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, said, O Nabi of Allah, I invited my people to Islam and I promised them that if you accept Islam, Allah will bring favorable conditions to you. But the total opposite happened. They are now suffering with famine and drought, etc. What do I do? My fear is they are going to move away from Islam, O Nabi of Allah. So, O Nabi of Allah, if you have some wealth, then at least assist them. It will keep them on deen. Nabi Sallallahu turned to Ali radiallahu anhu. Oh Ali, what's the position? Do we have anything? So, Nabi Allah, we have nothing. Zero. Zayd said, here's my opportunity. He steps forward. He says, Oh Muhammad, if you wish, I will give you a certain amount of money on condition you pay me with the dates of so and so person's date orchard at so and so time. So Nabi Sallallahu told him, listen, we can do a deal, but you cannot stipulate the orchard. Right? And you give me the money up front, and I'll pay you, I'll give you the dates, but you can't stipulate the orchard. Anyway, they did a deal. Before the due date, Nabi Sallallahu is returning from a Jalsah, he's sitting with Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala. Zayd now comes. And Zayd wants to test the patience and forbearance of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he says, "Oh Muhammad, you, the family of Abdul Muttalib, I know you are very bad pagans. Imagine somebody comes to you before the day, before the due date, and he insults you in front of your closest friends. You take it lightly." Nabi Sallallahu smiled. Umar couldn't handle it. Umar said, "What? Am I actually hearing what you're saying? You are lucky we are in the company of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If it was not for his company, your head would have been off." Nabi Sallallahu said, "Umar, take it easy, Umar. Oh, Umar, he is in need of something better. I'm also in need of something better. Oh, Umar, you should have rather told him that he should not behave in this manner with me, and you should have advised me that I should be a better payer. I should pay whatever is due before the date." Yeah, Nabi Sallallahu didn't take for his own benefit. He took benefit. He took things for the benefit of his Sahaba radiallahu. Then Nabi Sallallahu said, "Oh Umar, take him to the treasury, pay him the full amount, and give him another 3 SARs." Right? Ulama say approximately 65 extra kilos of dates were given to Zayd. You do the math. How much extra Nabi Sallallahu gave? So when Umar now took him, and Umar was now giving him, so Zayd said, "Why are you giving me all this extra kilos of dates?" So Umar said, "Nabi Sallallahu told me to give you extra in view of the way I spoke to you." Look at how Nabi Sallallahu taught his Sahaba. To be considerate towards others. When you speak, also speak properly. You don't just speak anyhow. You don't tell anybody how you feel. There's a way of speaking. There's a way of asking. Oh Umar, you are harsh on him. So in place of your harshness, in place of the way you spoke to him, you give him another 60 some odd kilos of dates. So Zayd says, "Oh Umar, don't you recognize me?" Umar says, "No, I don't. Who are you?" He said, "I'm Zayd." Umar gets a shock. He says, "You are Zayd, the knowledgeable person from amongst the Yahud?" He says, "Yes." He says, "But wait, something doesn't make sense. You're so knowledgeable. You read the previous scriptures. You know for a fact that this man is the genuine Nabi of Allah. Why did you behave with such ignorance?" So Zayd said, "Oh Umar, I searched for every sign of nubuwwat which I found. 2 things I was looking for, and alhamdulillah today I found it. يَسْبِقُ حِلْمُهُ جَهْلَهُ." The forbearance of Nabi Sallallahu always overcame his anger. He did not allow his anger to get the better of him. He didn't blow his head, right? For small things. Rather, he kept his calm, he kept his composure. And the second is, the more ignorant a person behaved with him, the more forbearant and gentle he was towards that individual. So they said, "Oh Umar, I have now found these 2 qualities in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I make you a witness that I am now accepting Islam. And not only I'm accepting Islam, but Allah has blessed me with great amounts of wealth. I'm the wealthiest. Now half my wealth will be for the ummah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam." This was Zayd. And then he went in the company of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he accepted Islam. But brothers, the important thing is Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us such a beautiful legacy. One is the ibadat of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which alhamdulillah we are always listening. But more important for us in today's days is the character of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This has to be coupled with the ibadat. Otherwise, every now and then what we hear, man got a big beard, he's got a big kurta and everything. But the way he treats his workers, the way he speaks outside, the way he treats his wife, the way he treats his children, they're too scared. It can't be. Character of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was amazing. Allah Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, if you were too hard, Sahaba would have dispersed, they would have ran away. The stepson of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Umar, he was so comfortable with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One occasion, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was about to sit and eat. He came, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam addressed him with such love. "Oh my beloved son, come and eat." When he came to eat, he was so comfortable and free with Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He began to eat in such a manner that his hands were moving around the whole plate. Now, if he was scared for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he would have been too scared to eat. He would be sitting in the shab, and he would have been too scared to eat. This guy was free. Because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam conducted himself in such a manner that they felt comfortable in his presence. And then when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam found him doing something wrong, If somebody is doing something wrong, you can't allow it. You have to correct it. But the manner in which you correct it is extremely important. So here Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam corrected him in such a beautiful manner. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, when you eat, then Sammillah, take the name of Allah. Now he had already taken the name of Allah. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't go for the jugular thing. But Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam advised him something that he already did. It felt good. I already did it. وَكُلْ بِيَمِينِكَ Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, second, you eat with your right hand. And he was already eating with his right hand. So he felt good. Alhamdulillah. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam very gently told him, كُلْ مِمَّا يَلِيكَ eat from the food that's in front of you. So he acknowledged and gently corrected. Today we don't know what is acknowledgement. When last did we acknowledge our family at home? When last did I acknowledge my wife's cooking? Everybody mentions what? The ulama mentioned the example very famous. That the one Mara went to somebody's home and he enjoyed the beautiful meal, and then after that he praised the food, and the lady started crying. Why are you crying? I didn't say anything wrong. Said, I've been cooking for my husband for so many years, not one did he ever praise my meal. Not one did he ever acknowledge my cooking. So the husband said, okay, you know what, I have to learn from my mistake. The next day he came home, he ate, and he praised, oh, what a lovely meal. He started crying again. He said, hey, no, will you? You know, you don't praise him, the problem, you praise him, it's also a problem. He said, what's the problem now? He said, all my life I cook for you, not one day you praise my meal. Today when the neighbor's wife sent food, now you praise it. So don't get caught offside. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when did we acknowledge? Acknowledgement is important. Whether it's our children, whether it's our spouses, and then gently to correct. So Sahaba came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi of Allah. We were in a dilemma. There was no water available. There was no water available. So we made tayammum and we performed our salah. Then it was the same salah time. So now they found water. So now there's a discussion between them. So one said, hey, you know, we got water. So now the tayammum and then salah fell away. So now we must make wudu and perform our salah again. And the Sahabi said, no, what is done is done. There's no need to repeat. We made tayammum because there was no water. We performed our salah. There's no need to repeat. So one Sahabi didn't repeat, the other one made wudu and he repeated. They both go to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So no Nabi of Allah, this is what happened. What is the masla? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told the person who didn't repeat asab the sunnah, you did that which was correct. Because the masla is, you make the imam perform the salah, then if you find wudu in the same time, there's no need to repeat. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, asab the sunnah, you attained that which was correct. Now imagine how the other Sahabi will feel. I made all the effort, I need to go make another wudu, I will do it salah again, and he'll feel down. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, Nakal ajr warat, you'll get double the reward. Every person felt good. Every person was acknowledged. Every person. One Sahabi came to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He came to the salah. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went into ruku. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went into ruku, he didn't want to miss the rakat. So he started his salah at the door. Allah Akbar. He went into ruku. And then whilst he was in ruku, he was now walking and he came and he joined the salah. How did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam correct him? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, Zadakallahu hirsan. May Allah increase your desire. You did this because you were desirous of the rakat. You didn't want to miss the rakat. So he acknowledged the man's intention and what was in his heart. May Allah increase your desire. What I thought, gently Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, don't do it again. Don't do it again. Sahabi says, I came. At that time, he was unaware that you are unable to speak in salah. So he says, we performing salah. One Sahabi sneezes. And I tell him, Yarhamukallah. Yarhamukallah means, may Allah have mercy upon you. You can't say it in salah. You say, Yarhamukallah to somebody, salah will break. So, all the other Sahaba, they start looking at him with big eyes. How we say, they start looking at him scared. You see, Rahman al-Qawmu bi absari. People started throwing me with their gazes. They started looking at me with big eyes. And this Sahabi says, I'm not going to keep quiet. So he said, I told them, Masha Nukum, what's wrong with you all? You're looking at me. So now they couldn't speak in Salah, so they indicated to him that just keep quiet. You know. So he said, I became a bit angry. I know these guys are not talking, but nevertheless I kept quiet. After the Salah, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu called me. And he says, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught me in such a beautiful manner. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him that listen, it's inappropriate to speak in Salah because Salah is for dhikr of Allah, Salah is for tilawat of Quran, etc. He said, Allah's qasam, I never ever came across a better teacher than Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He taught in such a manner that he never broke the heart of any person. He never humiliated any person. When good came in front, he acknowledged, يُحَسِّنُ الْحَسَنَ وَيُقَوِّهِ. He always praised the good. He strengthened it. He encouraged others towards it. وَيُقَبِّحُ الْقَبِيحَ وَيُوَهِيهِ. If bad came in front of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would explain the harm of that bad. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would discourage Sahaba from it. So brothers and elders, this was a beautiful character of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. My time is up. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to following the beautiful footsteps of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala beautify us with the beautiful character of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Together with our ibadah, what we need to bring in our lives is the akhlaq, the character of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Not only the character of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but the mu'asharat, the social interaction of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the mu'amalat, the monetary dealings of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. All this is part of deen. Ibadat is one branch of deen. Character is another branch of deen. Social interaction is another branch of deen. Monetary interaction is also deen, is also another branch of. All these branches make up the whole deen. Today we can't afford to pick and choose what suits us. So may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala grant us understanding. Brothers, before we end off, let us also remember our Muslim brethren in Jalsah. Let us make special dua for them. Things are not looking too good for them. Many lives have been lost. Let us take our time. If we can wake up at night, in the dead of the night, and cry before Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, wallah, those tears will be extremely valuable in the court of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We don't know whose tears will be beloved to Allah, and upon whose tears Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will make decisions. And Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله. اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. اللهم اجز عنا نبينا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم بما وأهله. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب القبر وعذاب الآخرة. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة